you take some pride in that. And it was a silly mistake that obviously led to the leading goal from City. But collectively, they've been compact. But what would the worrying fact would be is that there's going to come a time when Newcastle need to go for this to get a goal. They're going to have to come to a stage in this game where they think, well, we're going to have to try and get a goal. And when they do that, it's going to just leave City with more kind of space to create. And we've seen David Silva in the pocket, and the balls are going in at such speed, he's able to just like pop it off one touch and create opportunities.
Yeah, Joleon, one player you just mentioned there, David Silva, he's been instrumental. Some stats for you. After 27 minutes, Newcastle had completed 15 passes and Manchester City had completed 188. I mean, it's easy to make those passes when you've got someone like David Silva in the middle, isn't it, Joleon?
Yeah, as I said, like you see the formation and you think the little gaps are there. And as the opposition team, Newcastle will be thinking, go on, force that ball into that space, we'll intercept it. But the quality that they're going in there with Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne is going in at such velocity that Newcastle aren't be able to close down the spaces. And when he gets in them areas, there's no better person to kind of receive the ball.
Shaun, what do we need to do now, though, to get that second and hopefully maybe that third and more goals? Because we certainly can't have any higher possession. Well, obviously, mathematically we can. But at 85% possession, what else can we do? What do we need to do in this second half?
I just think for me, they just have to keep doing exactly what they've been doing. The chances are coming and soon they'll start going in, especially like Joleon said, that at some point Newcastle have to come out and try and go for a goal, and then they're going to make the chances come a lot more often and a lot more easier chances than we've had.
Now, I think Alistair Mann said it perfectly. He said one very simple gather for Claudio Bravo in that first half. But, Joleon, this team don't want to get too complacent, do they? Because Newcastle can be threatening going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've seen elements of that. I think Otamendi and Laporte have both realised that Andy Carroll in the air is as good as the opponent they'll face in their career. He's very dominant, loves to win that, and that just creates confidence for him and his team. So they have to kind of combat that. But in regards to City's pressure, I think if they're just patient as the game develops, Newcastle will obviously have to attack a little bit more, and it'll just create more space.
Of course, we scored there from a penalty. We quite often see us scoring from the beautiful ticky-tacky football that we play and getting someone right there in the box. We also, though, score some beautiful goals from sort of 20 yards out, as we've seen since restart. And, of course, Mahrez had a brilliant shot on about the 19th minute from about 20 yards out. So, Shaun, when you're playing against City and literally we can score from anywhere, that's just got to be frightening.
Yeah, it's very frightening. A lot of teams set out like Newcastle have and sit back and put all their players behind the ball, but then the problem comes that, like has just happened for Castle now, is that City have scored. What do they do now? Do they go out and try and score a goal, or do they keep doing the same and end up losing a game?
Now, Manchester City are very, very close to that semi-final, and the draw is happening. It is half-time right now. The ball numbers for you: Arsenal 1, Newcastle or Manchester City 2, Manchester United 3, Chelsea 4. Natalie, looking at those teams, at one point that was the big four, really, if you're looking at Manchester City over Newcastle. But this could be an incredible semi-finals, couldn't it, for the FA Cup?
Yeah, I mean, that's an insane FA Cup semi-final lineup. There's no easy game there. There's no draw that you're hoping to get. I mean, from our point of view, obviously we've beaten Arsenal comprehensively since the restart. But I don't, whoever we draw, that semi-final is going to be super tough. You start thinking about a Manchester derby. Would you want it in the semi? Would you want it in the final? I say this as well with the greatest respect, and obviously fingers crossed that we get through this game. And I can't decide. Part of me also wants to stay away from them and not play them and not have to go through that build-up again. But no, I'm really looking forward to seeing who we draw here.
I think sometimes it's easy to be pessimistic, isn't it, as a Manchester City fan, because we definitely have seen it all. But you at home watching, we're not really here. We want to hear from you. This is your show as well, so make sure you are using that hashtag WNRH. Send us your pictures. Send us your thoughts of that first half. And as well, we will be back after the full-time whistle, so make sure you're sending us all your thoughts and opinions on Twitter, on social media. One that I did see, quite a funny one, I think his name was Anthony, was talking about Joleon Lescott's camera fail before, when the camera fell back. Joleon, just want to make sure it's not going to do it again, is it? You're in the box room, you're okay now, right? Everything's secure.
Yeah, funny, Shaun. Yeah, is that funny? No, I've secured the stand now. I've got a little weight on there, so it can't fall off. But I'm just surprised no one's commenting on your trim, to be honest.
Oh, there has been on Instagram. People are
yeah,
tagging
well, mention
me
that then. Mention that.
videos. All right, coming to you guys then, Joleon. Looking at that, the 4 teams that are possibly left in those semi-finals: Manchester United, a derby in the semi-final, or would you rather play them maybe in a final of the FA Cup? Which would you prefer?
If we're winning, I'd rather play them in the final because it just leaves them with more heartbreak. But in regards to City, I don't think any of them teams will want to face City. But as coming from my City head on, I'd want to avoid Chelsea just for the simple fact of they beat us in midweek. So that's probably the only team I'd want to avoid.
I think the way that Chelsea are actually rebuilding and what they're managing to do, using their youngsters as well, that could definitely be a frightening one. Shaun, how about yourself? Manchester United, do you want to play them? Do you want to avoid them completely?
Personally, I wouldn't mind playing them and beating them and knocking them out as early as possible, to be honest. But I'm a bit like Natalie. The build-up for the semi-final is a lot, so maybe I'd rather see him in the final.
Well, I'm sure we'll see what happens. That draw is coming up very soon. Hopefully we'll be able to give you who Manchester City or Newcastle will be playing in that semi-final of the FA Cup. Now, Natalie, the rivalries that we've got within football, the way that Manchester City have dominated over the last 10 years, the FA Cup, it's extremely special, isn't it?
Yeah, the FA Cup means so much to me. It means so much to City fans. It means so much to this club. We love the FA Cup. We respect the FA Cup. We go all out to win the FA Cup, which obviously other teams in the Premier League don't do. And because we do that, that's why we've had great success in the FA Cup. And, you know, I'm really proud when I see us, no matter who we're playing, no matter what round it is, to really go out and go for the FA Cup, because it is magical. You know, it's the only really heartbreaking thing about this FA Cup, if we were to win today, is that we don't get that extra trip to Wembley, you know, which has become our second home.
Now, looking at the second half, looking at Manchester City's bench, we've got John Stones, Zinchenko, Rodrigo, Sane, Bernardo Silva, Cancelo, Ederson, Foden and Taylor Harwood-Bellis on there. Natalie, do you think that we're going to see some of those come on? I mean, we're cruising at 1-0, but we still need to make sure that we go through.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it'd be great to see us put away a couple of these chances at the start of this half. Hopefully get to 60 minutes with a bit of a cushion, and then we can make loads of changes. You know, we can make 5 changes. Let's give everybody a go, you know, rotate them all. But I think specifically everybody wants to see Phil Foden keep playing, keep getting on that pitch and keep showing us that magic that we know that he's got inside those feet.
Joleon, there's going to be players that are sat on those benches, obviously socially distanced, just like we are, but they are going to be itching to get on, seeing how this Manchester City team are playing against Newcastle. They're going to want some game time, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. And for me, I'd like to see John Stones. He hasn't featured since the restart, and I'm sure he's kind of itching to kind of see where he is in terms of his fitness and how close he is to being back at his best. And hopefully there is some minutes there for him today, and then he can force his way back into the team for next week, because that's a huge game. And like Natalie said then, in regards to Phil, I think we're all excited of what's to come when he does get regular game time at Man City, and hopefully that is sooner rather than later.
Now, there's somebody else who's a youngster who's sat on that bench, Taylor Harwood-Bellis. Shaun, you've been a youngster in this Manchester City setup. This is a special time to be coming through and to be seeing what this team are doing, but also they're going to be wanting to get on there and show the world what they can do and what they're capable of.
Yeah, most definitely. They've done extremely well to get to where they are in City, to make it onto the bench and a part of that first team squad. And now I can imagine that all overexcited and dying to show what they're capable of doing on the big stage.
Well, we'll see what happens in that second half. It must be a Manchester City fan's dream to be sat on the bench, to be playing, to be wearing that Manchester City top. Phil Foden, Taylor Harwood-Bellis, having these kids who are coming through. Cole Palmer on Thursday night was on the bench. Mancunians that are playing for Manchester City, Natalie. As a fan, this feels great, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we look at Phil Foden, we see a boy that we all hoped that we could have been when we were growing up, getting the chance to play for your boyhood club. And we wish him, we want him to be the best player in the world because he feels like one of our own. Now, Kyle, I think you've got some pretty important news for us.
I do. Now, the draw has happened. We talked all about it. Manchester City or Newcastle United will play against Arsenal in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Let's get some quick reaction from that. Joleon, out of all the teams, I'd probably say that Arsenal was the team Man City or Newcastle wanted most.
Oh, definitely. They're the least strongest squad out of the four teams left, and that's no disrespect, or potentially 5 teams. But in regards to the performance we put in against them recently, that is definitely a team that we will go there and with a lot of confidence. And that obviously it won't be as dominant as before, but it'll be confident for our lads.
Shaun, Pep Guardiola and Mikel Arteta are going to be going head-to-head once again. It's an interesting dynamic because Mikel Arteta's been around the Manchester City setup. He's seen it. He knows these players really well. This is going to be another great clash, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's a semi-final, and Joleon will tell you what they're like. Arsenal can turn it on and do what we don't want them to do, but I feel like the players have got that much confidence from their last game against them, and hopefully coming off of the back of this game, that they'll go in there with a lot of confidence and do what they need to be done.
I will just say that I need to stop being jumping at the gun and getting too ahead of myself, all right? Manchester City have got 1 foot into that semi-final, but they've still got 45 minutes to play against Newcastle United. We'll be here at full time, so make sure you're using that hashtag WRNH, and then we can get all of your thoughts, and we'll be sharing ours as well. Enjoy the second half, and we'll see you after.